Self-teaching and progression can be a difficult task, but thanks to internet for making it easy. This video is an overview of my 100 days of code challenge. I'll be sharing my experience, the journey I went through, the preparation I did, and how I overcame the challenges which I faced along the way. And also common question answers for anyone who wants to get started with 100 days of code challenge. And is it necessary for each and everyone to do 100 days of code if you want to start your developer journey? So, for people who don't know, what is 100 Days of Code Challenge? 100 Days of Code Challenge is a challenge where people code consistently per hour, a day at least, for a period of 100 days so that they would build a consistent coding habit, improve their coding skills, and also work on projects so that they can build their portfolio very much. Even though people code for a minimum of 1 hour each day, they also post the accomplishment across various social media like Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn, and with the hashtag hash 100 days of code to show their journey. So why did I take this challenge? I took this challenge when I was an employee working in a company and not a student. When I was a student, I was not much aware like this kind of challenge exists, even though I would code a lot during my college days. I was not from a tier 1 college and I was lacking a lot of awareness and also a lack of networking. I joined Twitter back on 2014, but I was not a regular user. During 2020, when I was in quarantine due to COVID-19, I just logged into Twitter and I found a hashtag hash 100 days of code. Twitter, which is formerly called as X currently. I saw many people tweeting with the hashtag hash 100 days of code, and looking at the hashtag, I just did a little bit research and I found that there is some challenge called 100 days of code exists. Like this is the way like how I came to know about this challenge.
We have technology.
Since I already had some coding background, I was not following a path to do my 100 days of code. Like I randomly pick project, get inspired by them and start coding and make sure I complete it at least by that day. This curiosity made me to learn new technologies which I'm very passionate about. So when I started this journey, I made sure I would push myself out of the comfort zone to become a better developer each day.
I'll do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Even though I had a daily job, I want to make sure how much I can focus and achieve with consistent effort throughout the journey. Some of my goals included mastering new programming languages, building some complex kind of projects, and also bringing together others' ideas and how to incorporate in a project and build things.
I need help.
As I already said, I didn't have a structured roadmap to follow. Since I want to get started with 100 days of code, I just directly got started. And whenever I need to work on some projects, I just see some inspirations online or just plan my previous day for the next project going to work on the next day. So let me get started with how each and every day went. So let's get started. On my day one, I created a Deno app. Since I already had some background in programming, I was actually working as a backend developer in more of a Node.js application. So it was during that time that Deno was introduced. I started day one to create a Deno app. So let me click on the tweet which I posted. Yeah, so I created a sample demo app which generates random activity each time the user refreshes the page. It's just a simple API which I created, similar to Node.js, but it wasn't demo. So it was straightforward, which I learned and I created. And along, I did some TypeScript coding as well. So let me click on that blog post Deno server to generate random activity, and they just hosted it in local. And I also attached the GitHub link accordingly. So it will just a normal web page where with the open API we'll be making a server call and we'll be generating some text along. So this was my first good start. And moving on to day two, I was learning to make a 3D Rubik's Cube. So let me head on to the link. Yeah. So in day two, when I was browsing the internet, I found many people were creating many designs based on code pens like CSS, HTML, JavaScript. They were doing a lot of designs. I am more of a back-end guy and had with less exposure to front end. So I thought I'll do some basic tutorials in Free Code Camp. So I just completed some basic tutorials to understand some basics of CSS, HTML in Free Code Camp and learned about some CSS transforms. I already know HTML and CSS, but in order to get some in-depth exposure, I learned about some CSS transform and I tried making a 3D Rubik's Cube. So this was a screenshot taken during that time. Like I was not able to use the URLs video preview into my 3D Rubik's Cube which I'm building. So it was not proper. So the work was still in progress during day two. So next on my day three, what I did is in my day three, I created a 3D Rubik's Cube in CodePen. So if you currently see On day 3, using only HTML and CSS, I made a rotating 3D cube. So in order to make this, I was learning in free code camp and for learn few CSS transforms online. So I have just attached the code pen link, and if you see that, it's getting loaded. So this was the one. So this was some Avengers YouTube link which I used where it is actually rotating. So this was my day two's accomplishment. Yeah. So this was using only HTML and CSS, and I was not using any Java. So I just had some media's images. I just imported all things with the help of image tag source, and here's the CSS I wrote for in order to rotate the cube. So this was something new to me because I was more of a backend developer, and when I was doing something like this really fascinated me a lot. Moving on to my day 4, I solved few HackerRank puzzles and CodeCamp tutorials. So let me move on to that link. I did some basic free CodeCamp tutorials, and since I was working in my daily job, I had to do some complex logic. So tried with solving few HackerRank challenges along the way. And next, I thought like when I already created a Rubik's cube previously, rotating cube, I was saying like whether I can do something else along with. I was interested in cube, and I was also interested in playing chess. So I thought to create a chessboard using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So in order to get started with that, I started analyzing the code, like how people are building chessboard with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So moving on to day 5, I created a chessboard using HTML and JS only. Like the previous Rubik's cube, which I actually built using HTML and CSS only. So I thought of ignoring CSS and let's create a chessboard with only HTML and JavaScript. On that time, I explored regarding HTML canvas and I created a chessboard. That also is, the code pen link would be attached. So if you free feel to check it out. So I just do the entire chessboard based on a few JavaScript logic. So this was also one of my favorite thing which I did on day 3. So moving on to the next day, day 6, I created a static chessboard with pieces and hosted using the HTTP server in local. What I did is I explored about some JavaScript libraries. Previous one was only a chessboard, but this one was actually having a chessboard with chess coins. Since I was already working in Node.js, I know like how HTTP server works, but learned how to create static chessboard using a chess library, and I just posted a blog regarding that as well. So see, I just created chessboard. One, this was my previous day's task. So I've attached the code also in the repository pinned up. So this was the chessboard which I just hosted with the help of the chess library. So moving on to day 7, I tried few animations in CodePen. The reason for doing more of things in CodePen is I was more of a backend guy, even though I had some full stack development experience. Since this was fascinating me, so to show something visually, I tried few animations in CodePen. Number 5, Teachers Day. So I just tried a simple animation in CodePen just to print Happy Teachers Day. So if you currently see, this was kind of funky animation if you see it now, but during that time it was something fascinating for me as well. So I'm just trying to print something Happy Teachers Day with the help of HTML, CSS, with the HTML body, inner and outer, and all the formats which I did. And I was able to change some font colors, and I was just able to visualize something. So this was my day 7's accomplishment. Moving on to day 8, I knew something in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let's start with learning React because many people were building some penguins and some kind of small animated icons in using CSS. So I thought to create a first penguin. So this was actually a reference from one of my friends. So he was building something, a kind of penguin. So even I thought of doing the same. I refreshed some React concept, especially React hooks, and then I created a first penguin. So this was the one which I used HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create. So this was my day 8's accomplishment. Moving on to day 9. I was doing a lot of things based on HTML, JavaScript. Let's do something in Python because even in Python, visualize something similar to web development which you're doing in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I created a digital dice using Python on day 9. Like I used to play online Ludo, especially during this COVID time, and whenever we play this online Ludo, I'm not sure how much of you guys have played. When you play, you will actually have a dice where based on the output of the dice, your coins will move. So having that in mind, I just came up with an idea to create my own digital dice using only Python. So with the help of Python, I created a digital dice, and I've also posted a dev.to blog based on that. Yeah, I just created a digital for a matter of curiosity. I created a simple dice. So this was the one which I did on day 9. Moving on to day 10, I learned something called machine precision and computer science. So if you look at this following piece of code in JavaScript, you see like I'll just explain one part of the code. Like, add 0.1 plus 0.2, it won't be equal to 0.3, and it gives an output called false. I won't be able to explain each and every concept. Maybe I can make a separate video on that, but in order to explain it simply, let me just inspect the screen and move on to the console. So if I just give 0.1 plus 0.2, it is not actually 0.3, it's 0.300004. So this is something called floating point arithmetic. So I'll try to explain this on a separate video. So these type of machine precisions and computer science, everything I explore, because this also actually I saw it in a Twitter post. So based on that curiosity, my day 10's accomplishment was this. So moving on to day 11, robotic process automation and converted HTML to XML using C Sharp. If you see like my journey, it is always a combination of different things. It is not actually going in a straight path. Like we were learning, starting with some demo, then we went to CSS animations, and then we moved on to Python, and now we are doing something in C Sharp. So I spent some time robotic process automation. This also was inspired by some Twitter post online, and I did a small code to convert HTML to XML using C Sharp. Still, I don't actually remember why I did this, but I actually coded that code as well. So let me move on to my GitHub. 11 HTML to XML in C Sharp. So I just did a simple code with a sample XML document. I did a program to actually convert to C Sharp. So feel free to look on this code. So this was a small thing which I did based out of curiosity. And moving on to day 12, I tried few JS codes. I just met a person called Praful when I was actually doing many things, and he created something called sketch notes. So based on that, I just learned like how an object is created and just put hello, this dot first name, and I was able to print things. So thanks for it. So I was able to learn few JS concepts based on his inputs. So that was my day 12's accomplishment. And moving on to day 13, I did an animation in CodePen. Again, back to process with inspired with animations on throughout the Twitter. Many people do more of front end and posting. So I just did a small animation using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as well. See, this person actually runs. This is actually related to something animated GIF. So this was the one did on day 13. In day 14, I actually created a Chrome extension to share code or image. So this was also totally out of topic. So creating a Google Chrome extension was one of my things kept in backlog in my programming journey. ChatGPT also didn't exist, so we have to refer a lot of things whenever we have to create a Chrome extension or whatever we have to build. So I just created a Chrome extension to share code or image to Facebook directly. This code also would be in my GitHub repository, so feel free to check it out. So it will directly help you to share your code or image, similar to a share option which we have. So moving on to day 15, okay, I created another Chrome extension to download bulk images. So let's head on to that link. Yeah, a Chrome extension to download bulk images from any page. So if you see this tutorial video, you'll be able to get. So I'm just images. Downloads all the images totally. Like this Chrome extension will help you to download bulk images. Instead of downloading each images individually, this Chrome extension helps to download a bulk image. So that's much with day 15. And moving on to day 16, till now I was actually creating many things and I was hosting things in local. And I learned how to deploy an app in Vercel. So Vercel is a free hosting platform. So I learned how to deploy an app in Vercel. Well, since this was my old link, it is just pointing to Dhanush Sanu. So I updated my README and learned how to deploy code to Vercel on day 16. Moving on to day 17, I earned a problem solving basic skill in hacker rank. Since I'm coding mostly on most of front end development and all these things, as I said, I already learned a few things in hacker rank, right? So I was doing one or two problems on a regular day. It was not actually being posted on my everyday's journey, but I learned a problem solving skill and I earned a certificate. So this was the certificate which I got. Dhanush, I successfully cleared the problem solving basic. So this was the next accomplishment which I did. Next, moving on to day 18, I learned a completely different things. Something called Face.js, really used for game development kind of things. So I started learning Face.js to move a game character as per the mouse keys. So I just hosted this code on local. So this code actually moves with the help of mouse keys. Completely entirely new for me. I didn't have any previous background experience to exec JavaScript. So this was completely new for me. And after day 18, I did a color of a winged horse using Face.js. So Phaser.js is more of used for gaming purposes, but we can also do kind of animations and all those. So if you currently see, I learned to code a color winged horse of Pegasus using Phaser.js. Like we can pick the color and code. This was also one fascinating project. Yeah, it was looking cool, right? We can just change the color of the Pegasus. And moving on to day 20, I used GitHub CLI and some Python code. So if you see, was looking into game development, that old Phaser.js, and started looking into some face recognition using Python, and still in progress. And I tried and installed GitHub CLI on my machine, and I was fidgeting with that. Moving on to day 21, I did a face detection image and video using Python. Yeah, this also was inspired by some of the people who were on online. I would use a video or image, and my face detection algorithm in Python would actually detect a face. This type of project, most of us would have tried, most of Python enthusiasts. So this actually I explored, and I started to build face detection in both image and video using Python. Then after that, I solved hacker rank problems 4-star in 10 days of JS and game development. So let me head over to that link. I spent some time in game development and solved some hacker rank problems as well. So it was like 10 days of JS accomplishment. I completed 10 days of JS and hacker rank that time. So this was my day 22's accomplishment. And moving on to day 23, I did test-driven development using Jest and Node.js and spent time reading related some ML models. I'm not sure, like people who are looking at this, what this guy is doing different things. But when I initially started out posting on Twitter, I was not exactly sure like whether I need to focus on this and how to follow a path. So I did some test-driven development using Jest and Node.js because I think it was helpful in my project as well. We were trying to do some test-driven development, so that alongside I explored on Jest and looked into some machine learning models. We have to do something out of work, right? Whenever we're doing 100 days of code, and not it should not be always related with work. So I started looking into some machine learning models as well alongside. And day 24, I completed some more HackerRank problems on 10 days of JS and started with web design. So let's open that link. In just like 2+ days, I just completed like 10 days of JavaScript and then started with the web design. And day 25, it was totally opposite of what I'm doing still now. Revised and did some Java code. Okay, still now we are doing with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and we already did few things with C Sharp. And now I took an entirely different thing because I just want to create an Android app and want to open a blog site. So in my mobile, I just created a small app called InfoNet State and it would actually open a blogspot link. So it was a very simple Android app with using only Java. Then moving on to day 26, I created a game using Phaser.js. Okay, we already had some experience in doing Phaser little by little, and later on, I created a real game using Phaser.js, like make the game character escape from different bugs that are falling, and the score will increase based on the number of bugs escaped. So this was the game. Maybe I can start and play it. Let me do. Yeah, this was the one. Look. If the bugs fall on you, you have to again. This was actually created using Phaser.js. So this was my day 26th accomplishment. Okay, let me move on to day 27. In day 27, I created a Twitter bot based on Python. There are lots of innumerous bots on Twitter, and I finally created a Twitter bot using Python. It will actually like, retweet, and also send direct message. I use a different account to do that. And moving on to day 28, spend some time in website designing. Not don't exactly remember what he did during those days, but maybe I would have got inspired by some point of, or maybe I thought I would have taken a dull break, so I was just exploring on web designing. And day 29, text to speech and also converted to a, MP3 audio file using Python. Okay, in day 29, I created a text to speech using Python, also converted the given speech to MP3 audio file. So let me look into that video. This would explain you. Okay, it's like a 45-second video, and it's a simple text to speech. Maybe I already have a video on my channel explaining how to do text to speech.
Every day is an awesome day, and today is Danish's 29th day in 100 days of code.
Feel free to check out this link because it will give you an idea like how to get started with text to speech. So this was one which I did on day 29. And moving on to day 30, I created a disco ball bouncing and I coded it in CodePen using HTML and JS. I came back to HTML, CSS, and I started to do things. So this was the one which I did. So let me open the code link. So if you see, with the help of only HTML and JavaScript, I just did some bouncing disco balls. So I'm just using Canvas over here, and the code is actually like how I'm actually doing this, and this balls actually change based on some linking colors. So this was just some experimentation with what I'm doing. Next, moving on to day 31, I created a blackboard using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, with this HTML, CSS, we are doing a lot of things, I guess. So just created a blackboard, and it's not actually suitable for mobile devices. You can do it only with mouse pointer on the desktop. It's more like what you see in Excel, Draw, and all those platforms where you just scribble things, right? Similar to that. So let me head on to that CodePen link. So this is the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code, and let me just type here. Hey, yeah, this was a simple one which I created. And day 31, this one. And as I mentioned in day 31, this was not actually suitable for mobile devices. So it was based on moving of my mouse pointer. It was not suitable for mobile devices. So in day 32, I made the blackboard suitable for mobile devices as well. So it was the same code which I mentioned. So worked on some improvements and made it to be suitable in mobile devices as well. So if you open that CodePen link in mobile, feel free to check it out. You can just scribble with the help of your touchpad. So it would be suitable in mobile devices as well. Cool one. And next, moving on to day 33, I did a smiley animation in CodePen. Okay, I'm doing a lot of code things because whenever I used to see this Twitter post, right, they'll be doing most of front-end development works which get viral and all those. Or even I started to do same thing. I just did a small smiling emoji using CodePen. So let me head on to that link. So this was the one. I'm not sure why it's moved to the left, maybe due to some alignment issues, but initially when I recorded, it was in the center. Next, moving on to day 34. Yeah, I think it came to that month of October where this Hacktoberfest. I contributed to Hacktoberfest for the first time and I learned how to contribute to open source as well. So Hacktoberfest just gave me an initiation to start to contribute to open source, like how to raise a PR, how to face issues and all those. So I did my first contribution to Hacktoberfest. And in day 35, I was doing some ML math and flying spaceship using CodePen. Okay, so this also was related to CodePen. I think this was something which I tried out myself, referring some other items, mostly based on CSS and JavaScript. So if you see the code currently, there's no HTML involved here. So it is just like a flying spaceship. I just did with the help of CSS and JavaScript. Okay, now if I look into this code, even I don't remember exactly what I did using the calculate portion. I remember a bit by bit, but during that time, each and every line I used to understand, debug a lot of things while creating these type of things. So this was my day 35's accomplishment, and moving on to day 36, I spent some time in web designing. Okay, this was actually the same web designing was like whichever code pin links which you see or something like to Phaser.js, it all involves bit of designing patterns and all those. So I also spent some time web designing for a site and came across a website where you can upload our own images, host it free and use it as a source image URL in web page designing. So imgbp.com. So I'm not sure whether the .com exists, still exists. Not sure it is paid now. We can actually upload some images and you can use it across your. You can just create an account here, upload your images, and you can use it across various platforms. Okay, moving on to day 37. I started looking into DevOps, I guess. Yeah, started working in Docker. It was pretty easy for me. And then I started to configure YAML files, learn day 38 and 39. Maybe it was two different posts, or let me check it. Yeah. Day 38, I learned to configure YAML files. So YAML files is similar to how we have JSON and we have different type of file formats, right? Similar to that, something that's called YAML files, where based on indentation, we'll be able to write some configuration. So most of the configurations are based on YAML. So since I learned Docker, I also started to learn how to configure YAML files on day 38. And what you did in day 39? Okay, continue with the YAML configuration for logging tools. So I was also planning to incorporate logging in one of the projects which I was working. So most of these tools all have YAML type of configuration. So I plan to continue learning that as well for the days 38 and 39. Next, it was day 40, and I worked on configure log management tools. The things which I learned on day 38 and 39 was YAML configuration and log management tools. There are many like Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana. This all these logs management tools. What is the use of all these tools? Is we'll have different microservices running in an application. In order to bring all the logs, we need some log management tools. So I learned how to configure all these log management tools on day 40. And moving on to day 41, I explored on Node.js streams. There are four different type of Node.js streams: writable, readable, duplex, and transforms. So these type of specific concepts people don't focus. So I spent time looking into these Node.js streams on day 41. Okay, in day 42, I created a desktop app using Python. So I just created a desktop application using Python, which takes an input text and displays it on a button click. We were doing some HTML, CSS, then we went to Phaser, then we started with Docker, and again, I think I referred some others project which was actually online. So I started to create a desktop application which takes an input text and displays it on a button click. Similar to how we do in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I did it using Python. And after day 42, the same desktop application, I created few extra features on day 43. Was trying out some simple features using Python to display and remove text. It'll actually print the text and also clear, like some additional things for that desktop app. So after day 43, on day 44, I explored Winston NPM for Node.js. Like previously, I said I was exploring on some log management tools to write YAML and all those, right? Whenever you're doing exploration regarding logging in Node.js, you'll come up with an NPM package called Winston. So Winston will actually help you to log request response. It also helps you to whitelist a couple of passwords and all those to not to log it into your systems. That NPM, I was a bit exploring a detailed into that in order to log Node.js applications. On day 45, I explored on more NPM packages and also worked on log management tools. So previous one was Winston, and after that on day 45, I explored on Morgan, Path. So these were also some logging tools. Apart from Winston, my perspective as of now, Winston is one of the best logging tools for Node.js, but there are other logging tools as well as Morgan, and also worked on log management tools, the things which I said, right? Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana, or Fluent, Bit, and all those. So I also work on those things on day 45. Next, moving on to day 46, structured and unstructured logs. Whenever we try to log things in application, usually people log as a separate text, one by one. In some scenarios, the logs would be in a JSON format. In some scenarios, the logs would be in some other format. I just was exploring on structured and unstructured logs. So like how, because if you want to visualize something, if you want to visualize data based on logs, the log should be structured. If the logs are unstructured, it would be difficult for us to filter things. Like if I want to know a specific user based logs, then I need to filter things, right? So those type of things I need to explore. So I was exploring on the structured and unstructured logs on day 46. Next, day 40 for more exploration and incorporation on logging. Okay, created files based on current time zone using Node.js and worked on zipping log files. I think I would have completed with the log storage before day 47. And if the logs are stored, we need to zip the log files, like consider your logging files for 365 days. Each day when the logs are getting stored, it will gradually increase the storage of your device. So we need to zip that and archive that. So those type of things also was exploring. Or the Winston, by default, it has a way to zip files and in logs, but I was just exploring on those things to understand it better. And in day 48, I worked on Node.js file streams. The reason for working on Node.js file stream is it was related with the previous logging things. So whenever we log things, we need to read that logs and those type of complications occur. So I also started to look into Node.js file streams. And moving on to day 49, I was doing web designing for a site and getting IP using Node.js. Working on web designing on a site. Previous, I would have mentioned I was doing exploring on web designing. So it was a little by little process. For the site, I was doing web designing and explored on getting the IP address of the system using Node.js. So we can get a system's IP address with the help of Node.js on day 49. Next, on day 50 and 51, I think on day 50, I missed to post a tweet. If I'm not sure, I think I missed it. So both day 50 and 51, I explored more about logging implementation on real-time process. On logging is a huge concept. It cannot be explored within few days. So I was little by learning things. So that was my accomplishment as per day 51. Next, day 52. I was trying out a few fancy text in HTML and CSS, so let me head on to that CodePen link. So obviously, I just did a fancy text with bit of shadows and just a hello text using HTML and CSS only. Next, on day 53, I did CSS blend mode for images. So CSS blend mode was the right way to add image effects inside your browser. So I was exploring more on CSS blend mode for images on day 53. And on day 54, I did Kibana visualization. Like I was talking about logging previously, right? On day 54, I did the Kibana visualization and logging. So Kibana is a visualization tool where you take data from Elasticsearch and you visualize it. So structured log JSON for log files and explore on visualizing log data in log management tools. Was day 54, which I did. And in day 55, again, back to CodePen, I created a music player using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let me show that. Should we show the CodePen link? Okay, so using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I just created a music player. All I just named it as piano. Okay, you can also reduce your sound, off it, on it. Also download it. Okay, it comes default with this property. So this was the one which I. So let me stop this and move on to day 56. Okay, in day 56, I also explored on some ML libraries. When I was doing all these, like I said previously, I did some exploration on ML, and based on that, I was working on some side project and explored more on some Python ML libraries like Pandas and all those. So that was my day 56 accomplishment. And on day 57, ML and HTML tags. Let me see what I did. Okay, was exploring more on some rare HTML tags, like MarQ and some left out HTML tags with accompanies with CSS. So those type of I was exploring, and also spent some time on machine learning based on the previous side project which I was doing. And on day 58, I did a Flipkart using HTML, CSS, and CodePen. Seems most of my 100 days of code is related with CodePen because that's most inspiring. Currently, see this? It's actually a Flipkart. It actually gets flipped, right? So this was what I did. So let me head on to the CodePen link. Okay, seems that image is not being available. Yeah, this image URL which I'm using is not currently valid, I guess. So therefore, it is showing different. But this was the one which was created. This was my day 58's accomplishment. Yeah. Next, moving on to day 59, I did a color ranger using CodePen. So if you currently see, I tried out a slidable color ranger using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So that also is related with CodePen. So I just, being a backend developer, I tried a lot and was able to learn a lot in using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if you see, I just made a color range. Looks really cool, right? Okay, it's also hurting my eyes a bit. Okay, this was my day's 59th accomplishment, and moving on to day 60. Okay, we are back to Node.js. In day 60, I worked on a MongoDB queries in Node.js. Okay, we were doing a lot of Hazer and all those, and we did some. So I was exploring a few advanced queries on MongoDB queries. Okay, day 61, I did NLP in ML. I spent some time on natural language processing and machine learning, the machine learning project, side projects I was doing. So some Python NLP library examples like Spacy, Stanford NLP, and OpenNLP. I was exploring on all these. Moving on to day 62, date functions in JS. Okay, I was trying out few NPM libraries, but more of things I was doing with JavaScript functions logics. How to handle date functions and logics in JavaScript, I was exploring on day 62. And moving on to day 63, plot Google Map using Python. Okay, learn to plot a Google Map using Python. I did that's an package called GM plot. So with that, I just learned how to plot Google Map using Python. Next, moving on to day 64 and 65, I got started with CSS flex boxes. Okay. That's a cool thing. Like we can learn a lot of code with the help by playing games itself. There's something called Flexbox Froggy, where you can learn about CSS Flexboxes by just playing this game. So what it will always give some instructions, and if you complete this 24 levels, you will have a good understanding of how this Flexbox works. So I just completed this level 1 to 20. So I learned how CSS Flexboxes actually work on day 64 and 65 to complete those levels. And in day 66 and 67, I built a data science project for birth data analysis using sample data. Like I was working on little bit data science. When I'm trying to actually revisit, and I'm actually wondering, like I'm learning different type of things without the interrelation. But during that time, only curiosity. So it was actually a data science project for birth rate analysis using sample data set, and I visualized it. So this was the visualization which I did on those 2 days. And after that, day 68, I revised React Code Concepts Free Code Camp. So I was doing a bit Free Code Camp in my start of my journey, and I revised few React concepts. Maybe I would have missed few things, so I need some revision. So I did some React components revisions via Free Code. Then I was working on React and creating an interactive UI. This also took most of my time, I guess, day 69 to 74. Maybe after so much days, I thought I need a break. I was not actually tweeting those days, so only I was working on Free Code Camp. So if people who don't know what Free Code Camp actually is, it provides a large variety of tutorials on various programming concepts, technologies, where you can learn everything for free. So feel free to sign up and start learning things. So uh, you can learn a lot of React concepts and interactive UI and all those. So this was my accomplishment which I did. Okay, 100% completed. Okay, next day 75. I completed managing packages with Node.js via Free Code Camp. Another course called managing packages with NPM for Node.js. So that also I completed in Free Code Camp. Moving on to day 76 to 80, I worked on various web concepts. I revised some concepts and complete basic Node and Express via Free Code Camp because it's good whenever we follow a tutorial, even if we have left a few things when we are exploring online, that would really help us. So I did that and tried out some animations using HTML5, Canvas, and CSS, and also tried out some WebKit audio context code in web browser. So WebKit audio context code is something related with audio things which you can do in your web browser, especially related with your Chrome extension and all those. So I was trying out few code in with that as well on day 76 to 80. Next, in day 81 to 84, I created AML application and worked on some CSS and Node.js concepts. So artificial intelligence machine language. It was some simple artificial intelligence application which I created with the AML language. This also I found somewhere online a tutorial. I just referred that and I started coding in that. And I tried out some basic CSS animations and WebKit audio based codes. Maybe I'm trying to build something using WebKit. So I was more into that WebKit and audio based codes using CSS animations, and tried out code on handling headers in Node.js as well. So day 85 to 86, this was one of my interesting project which I made up to there. So I did like happy birthday music karaoke in CodePen. This was my favorite one. Could do this slow. Let me just show that. So this was a literally a cool one which I built. Okay, let me just show the CodePen link. Free feel to check this out and customize it according to your needs, or even if you have someone's birthday, you can just send this one. So you can also alter the speed. So for example, if you want it very slowly, this would happen, or if you want it very fast. I would like to play it one more time. In case you have anyone's birthday, if you want to surprise anyone, this type of animations would really help them, or help them and impress them as well. Next, moving on to days 87 to 88, where I explored on end-to-end encryption. What is more of end-to-end encryption? The things which you have in WhatsApp, where even the client as well as the server will be having a key, and they would generate a kind of secret key so that the middleman may not know what the content is. So if you see currently a WhatsApp, everything's end-to-end encrypted. So the WhatsApp doesn't know what we are actually messaging. Contents are always end-to-end encrypted. I just explored on end-to-end encryption, and this was image which was found online. I was exploring more in depth on this. So this was my day 87 to 80 accomplishment. And in day 80 to 90, I learned about transactions in Node.js and started with Adobe Photoshop. So what is transaction nowadays? Like there are something related with asset properties. Transactions in Node.js, like if suppose if an operation fails, we have to entirely revert it. For example, if you have like updating a document and then inserting it to a different document. If suppose inserting it to a different document fails, then both update and insert has to be reverted. This is bit a huge concept. I explored at high level on transactions in Node.js during these days. And also started with Adobe Photoshop. Okay, this is totally out of concept. So started learning Adobe Photoshop to create some UI designs as well. Next, using Adobe Photoshop, I think I did something. Okay, using Adobe Photoshop and Adobe XD, I created my first poster. Okay, with the help of Dribble, I learned some functionalities using Adobe Photoshop and created my first simple poster design, and I'm currently using it. And this is the one. Here it is. I just created a dribble poster for cycle. So this was my first poster with the help of Adobe Photoshop and XD, which I created. So these were on day 91 and 92, and in day 93 and 94, I did more exploration on Adobe Photoshop and XD and solved few hacker rank problems. So after doing that one poster design, I think I was not much focused into other type of designs. So worked on more in improving what to know regarding Adobe XD and Photoshop, and went through some existing designs in Dribble, like how to recreate them and all those. And then I solved HackerRank problems. This was what I did. And in day 95 and 96, I explored on more on some React concepts. For React Popper components, I just had that React Popper components and read about sharding and partitioning of data. Like there is a limit for a single document to hold, and we need to partition it and store it on different data, especially in MongoDB. and also started my explorations on how Jenkins and Nginx configurations are done. These more related with more of things which I'm seeing online and also related with my existing work which I'm doing. So did all explorations regarding this to improve myself. Next, moving on to day 97 to 99, I solved a few coding problems and some designing using Adobe XD. So I learned to create some basic designs using Adobe XD and solve a few problems in Coding Bat. So Coding Bat is a website where you'll have a little bit of problems to solve. So I solved a few problems in Coding Bat as well and read about React prop types and its functionalities. Days gone, I was not able to post consistently, but I was able to learn a couple of days like what I want to do. And after that, on day 100, I solved some more complex problems and decided to start learning AWS. So if you see, like I tried out more designs using Adobe XD and solved some logical problems and decided to start an AWS course. So this was my accomplishment for my 100 days of code. So what do you think about this? Feel free to drop in the comments below, and all these links and whatever I've explained in this video, all the links have been attached in the description, so feel free to check it out as well. If you enjoy watching the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, as would really mean a lot. Feel free to sponsor me and also support me in GitHub if you think like any of my contributions are valuable to the community or it's motivating you, as it would really encourage me to do more and more things. So this was my complete 100 days of code challenge. Like how was my thought process in choosing the projects? And even those times ChatGPT doesn't exist. So when I have to build any project, I had to refer the documentation and also try out and get some errors and rectify those and then build the projects. So if you want to get started with the 100 days of code challenge, I would suggest that don't get started like how I did, like picking random projects and building. You just draft a structured roadmap and plan like what you're going to do for the first 10 days and what you're going to do for the next upcoming days as well. So having a structured roadmap would really help you to be consistent and also build something at the end of 100 days, so that it would really help you in your interview preparation as well and also enhance your portfolio.
An opportunity well taken is always a weapon of advantage.
For example, suppose you want to learn web development. You can plan like taking day 1 to day 10 or 5 for HTML, and then next 20 days for CSS, and next 30 days for JavaScript, and then plan to build some React project and integrate with some backend Node.js app and complete your 100 days with a full stack application. So having a structured journey will really help to enhance your skills, and also you'll have a better portfolio at the end.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
I faced many challenges while being consistent. Like I had to attend some occasions, and also whenever I need to work on some project, it doesn't get completed on a single day. I haven't taken a break because I thought I want to be consistent for the 100 days. And even though I had to attend some occasions, I used to return back home and then do the projects in a consistent way.
You live and you learn.
But if you're someone who wants to state 100 days of code challenge and if you're not able to be consistent, it's okay to just ignore for a day, as everyone is unique and everyone has different levels of learning. So if you're sick or if you feel like taking a break for the day, take a break and then resume with the challenge. There are some who code like for 25 days or 50 days, or if they take a break, they again start from day one. It's all left up to them on how to proceed with the challenges. But if as an individual, if you want to take a break or you want to take a break and again start with day one, it's totally left up to you. Don't be overwhelmed by pressure to complete each day consistently.
The world is ours!
For some, coding for 100 days would really be a challenging one. Instead of coding for 100 days, you can have a challenge like 10 days of code or even 25 days of code. The main objective is you need to have a habit of coding so that you can improve your coding along the journey.
My brain is too powerful for that.
Even if you complete your 100 days of code challenge or 25 days of code challenge, whichever you're planning to pick, don't stop coding after those days. The main objective of doing this days of code challenge is to have a coding habit which would stick to you throughout your journey of your life. You must make sure to incorporate a habit of coding at least once a while, even though after completing this challenge. It's okay to take breaks, but having a consistent coding habit will really improve yourself as a developer to a great extent.
Fix it, fix it, fix it!
Since I took different challenges, apart from what I'm doing on my regular job, I was able to learn a lot of things outside of my comfort zone as well. This 100 days of code challenge, which I did long back, also helped me to accomplish my 365 days of lead code journey, where the video would be somewhere here. So feel free to check that as well. Even though you're sitting and coding for hours, make sure you do some exercise and make yourself active, because sitting and coding for hours can sometimes make you lazy and also like couch potatoes, sitting in the same place and working for the whole time.
The last time I exercised was never.
Make sure you take care of your health, even if you stand for a long time, and also if you sit for a long time, you'll have different kinds of health issues which might occur later stages of your life. So whenever you're doing these type of challenges, make sure to keep yourself fit and also exercise properly, which will help you to stay active in the long run. Whichever time you're starting this type of 100 days of code journey or any challenge, there would also be a set of people at the same pace doing their 100 days of code challenge as well. So whenever you have a set of people where you can network, and also if they are doing the things along with you, you'll always feel motivated and consistent enough to do things. So even I did a mistake of not networking much when I was doing these type of challenges. I used to just go to Twitter, just post a tweet, come back, and I didn't network much during those days. If I had network, I would have got a lot of friends and also meaningful connections, but I missed those. So if you're doing something called 100 days of code, it's always good to network with your fellow peers so that your network will expand or whatever support you may be getting.
I really think we need to talk.
So it's better to network with people so that you'll improve your networking and as for your coding side by side.
What's so funny about the way I talk?
So what do you think about my journey? Let me know in the comments below. So if you have any questions, feel free to tag me and post your questions on various socials. I would be really glad to answer. So thanks to everyone who have supported, encouraged, and also inspired me in this journey.
Well, thank you.
If you enjoy watching the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, as it would really mean a lot. If you have anything to say or if you have any questions, feel free to drop your comments below. See you in the next video. Bye.